Welcome to the life you crave. Simple and sustainable weight loss for women who have better things to do than diet. I'm your host, Leah Pinelli. I help ambitious, badass women stop overeating, overworking, and overgiving to lose weight from a place of love. I'll help you simplify weight loss, end your overwhelm, and create the life you crave. If you like what you hear, please like and subscribe to this podcast. Let's get started. Hello, my beautiful friends. Guess what? I am recording this on the first day of spring, which maybe is like no big deal to some of you, but that means that I just made it through my first winter as a Buffalonian. So for those of you who don't know, I moved last summer from California, well, San Diego, to beautiful Buffalo, New York. And everybody here was so worried about how's Leah going to do with the snow? How's Leah going to do with the winter? Newsflash for everybody. I love the snow and I loved the winter. It was gorgeous. But also now I really get it. All of you East Coasters know that there is magic to the changing of the seasons. And my husband, being from here, he would always talk about how that was the one thing he really missed was the changing of the seasons. And while I could understand what he was talking about, now I really get it. It is magical, you guys. There's a chipmunk outside my window right now. I feel like Snow White. And there are blue jays and cardinals and birds chirping. Beautiful thing. And today is my wedding anniversary with my husband. We got married on spring solstice 12 years ago. We've been together for 20 years. At 12 years, we got married. And so I'm going out to dinner tonight at a super popular restaurant that's hard to get into. And I'm going to have a blast and I'm not going to overeat and I'm going to enjoy every single minute. But today's episode, I'm not speaking specifically about not overeating, although maybe I'll share about my dinner and how I don't overeat, even on special occasions in another episode. But today we are still in the month of March in the Fempire. So for those of you who don't know, the Fempire is my private community of badass women who are really committed to that cycle of transformation that I talked about a few episodes ago. It was episode 150. Actually, no. Yes, it was episode 156, the habit code, called the habit code. And I talked about the cycle of transformation. And essentially, the women in the Fempire are women who understand that they were made for more and they were made for better. And this cycle that they're in of overeating or eating foods that are sabotaging their ability to release unwanted weight, they know that there had to be a solution, but everything that they've tried up until now for decades and decades hasn't worked. And so in the Fempire every month, we focus on a different philosophy or skill, the underpinnings of the actual psychological and spiritual and emotional change that needs to occur in order for our lifestyles and our actual habits to truly transform themselves. Because the goal is always, and I explained this on episode 156, the habit code. The mistake that we make is that we tend to think, oh, I have these behaviors that aren't serving me. I'm eating too much junk food, or I'm overeating even healthy food. I'm doing these things. I'm not exercising. I'm doing all these things to cause me to carry this unwanted weight. And I just need to change the things I'm doing, the behaviors, the actions, in order to get a different result. And while that makes sense, the mistake that we make, because nobody taught us this, but the mistake that we make is that we don't realize that in order to actually change your behaviors in a sustainable way, you have to start with your thinking. Right? You have to start with your thinking because your thoughts create your feelings and your feelings create your actions. And then your actions are what create your results. The idea that we can just change our behaviors and be done with it is a total fallacy. You have to, as one of my mentors says, you have to complete the cycle, right? Even if you start with habits, like in the Fempire, we're not starting with habits, but we're focused on habits. Even if you start with your behaviors to get a different result, you still have to go back and you have to really examine your thinking and challenge your thinking and truly shift your thinking, change your thinking in order to sustain the habit that you want to sustain. whether that's a habit to stop doing something or whether that's a habit to start doing something. So I talked about the 4 stages of transformation on episode 156. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to that one, highly recommend that you do. It's 156 and 157, and this episode 158. They are all on habits. And actually, next week will be our last episode on habits. So there will be 9, 4. Where did I be at 9? 4. There will be 4 episodes on habits. And I've recorded episodes on habits before. This is totally new and different than I've never taught it in this way until now. And I'm teaching this in depth in the Fempire. The benefit of being a part of the Fempire is you can really go all in this work. We go much deeper, and we have worksheets and discussions, and people are really applying this to their lives and then coming to their weekly coaching sessions and getting coached on their own brain. So it's a powerful thing to watch. And I'm going to actually share with you a couple of the members' experiences a little bit later in this episode today. But the thing that I really want to impress upon you is I would encourage you all to really think about, what is one habit that I really want to stop doing or start doing? And if you started this with me, episode 156, the habit code, that first episode in this series was really about how you can do like a current habit audit for yourself to help you really to get clear on, where are these habits that I don't love? And ideally, you're picking small ones to start with that you can then start to work with. Then episode 157 is about then how you actually can start to build that habit, but from the point of view of being someone different. So again, another mistake that we so often make is that we believe that in order to have something, release unwanted weight or get healthy or whatever it is, we have to do differently. So I have to work out more. I have to go on a diet, right? I have to do different so that I can have something different, meaning have a different body. And once I have that different body, then I will be somebody different. And I will be confident and happy and attractive and all these things. And the truth is that is actually not in any way the order that it goes when it really comes to true transformation, integration, embodiment of being a woman who no longer carries unwanted weight. And the way that works, the way that it works with anything, is that you have to actually be someone different so that you will do different. Let me make sure I'm going to say this. I always have to write this down so I don't say it wrong. But yes, you have to be different so that you can do different, right? Because if you are being different, that means your thoughts and your feelings are different, and your thoughts and feelings drive your actions. So you will automatically do differently. You don't even have to think about it, right? Maybe you put a little bit of intention into it, but it's not a huge lift. And then once you then are thinking differently, feeling differently, doing differently, you will have different, right? So the order is not do, have, be, but rather it is be, do, have. So for today, that's the overview of what I've been talking about over the last few episodes. Today's episode, I want to give you a really powerful tool. This is a really powerful question. I always say this is a question that you can ask yourself, but the truth is you must ask yourself this question. Like, you're really like, yeah, Leah, I want to do this. I really want to be, do, have. I really want to start with my thinking and feelings so that my actions just feel like they're in alignment with who I'm being, so that I don't have to try to not overeat. I just don't overeat because I'm not an overeater. I don't have to try to work out. I just go work out because I'm somebody who works. So it's like this, it just becomes this automatic. This is who I am. We all know people like this, right? You're like this in some areas of your life. A lot of you are teeth brushers, right? You guys automatically brush your teeth. You don't really think about it. It's not a debate every day whether you're going to do it. You are somebody who brushes your teeth. I hope. It's the same exact idea. You don't think about it. You don't care whether you feel like it or not. You just do it on autopilot. That is what that means that you are being somebody who brushes their teeth. Therefore, you brush your teeth. Therefore, you have healthy teeth, right? That's the pattern. That's how it works. Now, what I want to share with you today, I got to back up just a little bit to talk a little bit about that concept of your future self. And we talk about this a lot. But when I'm talking about your future self, I'm not talking about some idealized version of you necessarily. I am talking about the version of you who is actually your truest self, your true nature. It is who you are in your core. And that who you are in your core is, it matches you on the outside. And so the term that I often use for this is feeling at home in your body. And I talked a little bit about this on the podcast last week, so I won't go too much into it. Feeling at home in your body is an indication that you are in alignment with your truest self. And when we talk about your future self, I simply mean you, the person that you currently are right now. But in the future, she's somebody who has created different results in her life, whether it's a baller business or whether it's a leaner, stronger body, whatever results she has created. Maybe it's more flow in her life. Maybe it's a romantic relationship. Maybe whatever it is, what she's created in her life has been a result of her simply being more of who she truly is, her truest self. When we overeat, when we don't move our bodies in ways that feel like love, when we don't speak up at work, when we don't start the business or go for that dream, whenever we do that, we are out of alignment with our truest, fullest expression of ourselves, right? You have a longing to release unwanted weight. Certainly, some could certainly be from the socialization that we get, that women are supposed to look a certain way. But I never talk about you're supposed to look a certain way, but I do believe you are supposed to feel a certain way in your body, in the skin you are in. And so when you're out of alignment with that simply means that you are not tapped into that fullest expression of who you really. And that version of you, whether that version of you is 10 pounds lighter or 30 pounds lighter or 10 pounds stronger, right? 10 pounds more muscle, whatever it is for you, personal and private, and your choice, right? Your body, your choice. You get to decide what that is for you. But if you're not there right now, it is simply an indicator. I like to think of it as a dashboard in your car. And you're driving, you're going along, and then all of a sudden the red light indicator, something red light comes up. And it's not telling you that, oh, you're doomed now and your car's going to explode and implode and everything is going to go to hell in a handbasket. That's not what the little lights on your dash tell you. They tell you, pull over, take a look under the hood. There's something off. There's something out of alignment. There's something that needs your attention. And so what I want to really impress upon you is if you're out of alignment, whether it's with your business, your career, your health, your body, your relationships, your money, your time, whatever it is that you're out of alignment with, I want you to know that it's just like the light on your dashboard. It means it's time to stop and pull over and ask the question, what's going on? How can we get ourselves back into alignment? I'm going to come back to this concept of alignment, but what I want you to understand is when I'm talking about your future self, I'm talking about a woman who is in full alignment with who she is. So I'm not talking about some skinny mini gym rat, unless that's who your future self really is. But there's no one definition of a future self. It is you. It is whoever you are listening to my voice, watching this right now. It is the truest, fullest expression of you. That is your future self. How do you align more with her? And when you do, you will release the unwanted weight. When you do, you will stop using food to soothe. When you do, you will become a match for that romantic partner, or you will finally start to really create real success in your business and make a real impact in your business when you're in alignment. So here's the question that I want you to play with, that I want to invite you to play with. This is a powerful question. Because your future self has a different set of results because she takes different actions, and she takes different actions because she thinks and feels differently than your current self today. There's no way around that. That's just what it is, right? She thinks differently. She feels differently. Therefore, she acts differently. Therefore, she gets different results. And it may be wildly differently, but it also could be subtle shifts, right? Subtle changes that just bump her right back into a place of alignment. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't, and in fact, it should feel good. The more aligned you get with your truest, most essential self, the better it feels. That's how you know you're going in the right direction. So here's the question. Keep saying this. I'm going to give you the question. I'm going to give you the question. Here's the question. Are you ready? Write this down. Please write this down. This is such an important one. The question is, I'm going to give you a pre-question and then the actual question. The pre-question is, what does your future self believe is possible? What does your future self believe is true? So I'm going to give you an example of this. One of my beautiful clients, I won't share her name because I could share this on the podcast, but in our last session last Tuesday, she has made a tremendous transformation. Yes, sure, great. She lost over 20 pounds since joining the Empire. But more importantly, this woman has transformed her relationship with. This is a woman who used to really feel called and compelled to eat. She has a family of big eaters, and there's always lots of yummy treats around the house, like muffins, chips, and dip, all these kind of things that are very tempting to any human. And she has become a woman who, when we started together, felt like those things were irresistible. And now she literally can take it or leave it. If she chooses to eat it, it tastes great. But she also doesn't feel a strong desire or over craving for those foods. So she mostly stopped eating them, except for when she makes an exception to the way she typically eats. So it's been a beautiful thing to watch her transform how she navigates the world and the sense of confidence and at-homeness that she is building in her own body. What she came to our session with last Tuesday was a concern. She had overeaten. She had this kind of overeating episode, we'll call it, right? Where she was eating when she wasn't really hungry and she felt like she couldn't. I don't want to in any way imply that this is some kind of like clinical binge. I don't mean that. It was just one of those like she keeps eating and she's recognizing in the moment, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I'm not hungry. Why do I keep eating this thing? Why am I not stopping? And that is a skill that she has developed and has become a total expert at over the last year. But all of a sudden, it's like she was reverting back to her old patterns and her old ways. And she was really concerned because she's getting ready to graduate from the Empire. And her concern was like, maybe I didn't really learn anything. Maybe I'm just going to graduate from the Empire and go right back to my old ways and gain back my weight and be eating all the muffins and the chips and dip and like this total fear, like maybe this all wasn't even really real. And what I explained to her is I said, can you remember the last time that you overate? Can you remember the last time you did that? And her answer was no. And that's the difference. It's not that we never fall out of alignment. It's not that I never overeat. It's not that I never skip a workout. It's not that this isn't about perfection. This isn't all or nothing at all anymore. What this is, it's now recognizing that you live in alignment with your truest, most essential self almost all the time. And there will still be times that you go back to old default patterning because you're a human. And that's what we do, right? There will be times that you can't really explain why you overate, but you did, or you can totally explain why you overate and you don't like it and you wish you hadn't. But here's the marker here. And this is what I told this client. This is the indicator of success. This is the indicator of embodiment and transformation, because what ends up happening is, A, you recognize it when it's happening. First of all, you're like, this doesn't even feel right anymore. This isn't even who I am anymore. It feels like an old yucky pattern. It doesn't feel like an old good pattern. And you become so accustomed to feeling good that you recognize it almost right away. Sometimes you'll recognize it after, but you recognize it right away when it's happening. And here's the biggest distinction. You will have these incidents, these episodes, speak far less frequently than you did when you started the Empire or when you started that. And not only you will have them very infrequently, like I do and like my clients do, but also you will have them for a much shorter period of time. So I was always known for getting what I would always call a case of the efforts, right? Where I say, okay, I stirred up. I already ate these chips when I wasn't really hungry. So now I might as well go ahead and order the grande burrito and order the dessert and just go all out, because it's like, if I've already screwed it up, I might as well quote unquote enjoy it, which by the way is total fallacy. You don't really enjoy it when you eat that way. But the idea is that true integration and transformation comes from, and I'm going to get back to this idea of a belief here. It's a belief that you don't have to be perfect. It's not that you never overeat again. Just that you're somebody who doesn't typically overeat. And you do it so rarely that you don't even remember the last time you did it. So the fact that you did do it, no big deal. And you're going to move on, and it's going to be a long time before it happens again. That is a totally different belief system and way of thinking than most of us who have been subject to diet mentality are approaching our the habit changes, right? Usually it's like, I have to do this perfectly. I have to keep my points within a certain amount, or I have to keep my carbs in within a certain amount of numbers. And if I don't, I have failed at it and I need to try again tomorrow. Right. And it's like this really restrictive handcuffs. And it doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to live that way. Instead, it's like, what you need to believe that that it's possible for you to live at your natural weight with minimal effort. What would you need to believe is true? And now I know some people might be saying, but wait a minute, but I don't think it's true, right? Because I really would love to believe that I could eat ice cream and still lose 30 pounds. There are some facts involved, right, in the process. But if that's the case, then you're actually asking the wrong question. You don't know how to ask yourself, how can I eat ice cream and still lose 30 pounds? That's not a good question because that's not going to match up to reality with what actually possible. Some people can, most of us can. Instead, a better question is, how can I be a woman who doesn't give a shit about ice cream? Or how can I be a woman who enjoys ice cream on occasion and really enjoys it, but doesn't crave it? Because that is possible. I am living, walking proof. That was the client that I was just referring to. And so are countless other women that have come through the Fempire. You can absolutely change your hunger levels, your craving levels. You can change all that. And I'm selling any pills or potions or injections or anything that go along with that. It is psychological. It's psychological, it is emotional, and it's physiological. But once you get all three of those things in sync, you're off to the races with it. So when you ask yourself, what does my future self believe? Whatever your answer is, that's what you have to start believing. And the reason for that, I'm going to give you another example from another client who's actually in my Baller Business Builder program. I've had a number of clients go through the Fempire, and when they graduate have said, I really want to build a coaching business similar to this one. Can you help? So I have a program called Baller Business Builders for coaches who want to build to a figure program to get their coaching business. And one of the things that comes up often for business owners, especially female business owners, and this is related, by the way, to eating and food and weight. But one of the things that comes up is that this maybe isn't possible. I'm not going to be able to do this, right? I might just be wasting my time right. Those are the exact same thoughts that we have when it comes to weight loss, right? It's like, this might not be possible for me. I might be stuck in this body. This might be out of my control. I'm never going to be happy if I have to do it this way. I'm never going to be successful, right? We have all of these thoughts, and those thoughts, I promise you, if you are walking around with those lethal thoughts running through your head, you're absolutely right. What is that? Who says that? Is it Henry Ford? Somebody said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. It's totally true. Here's what happens, and this is going to tie back to habit. What happens is when you think, when there is doubt, now having some doubt is totally normal, but the key is you have to address the doubt. You have to confront the doubt. You have to look the doubt in the face and not try to beat it down or run away from it. Instead, you embrace it. You say, I see you, doubt. I see you there. But you know what? There's also all this evidence that this is possible for me. That is what I'm going to focus on. And the reason why, and you might have to intentionally collect evidence. I have the women in the Fempire collect evidence of the possibility of how this could possibly be true for you. And the reason is because when your brain believes that something's possible, it is far more likely and motivated to go after that thing. If your brain believes it's not really possible, you're not really going to go after it. You're going to avoid it. You're going to get distracted all the time. You're going to go on and off the diet. You're going to make plans for your business and then not really follow through. You're going to not really sell your stuff to anybody, right? Like you're going to half do it. But when it really comes to the part that moves the needle, that's often where we fall off. And if you are somebody who has consistently had this habit of not really going the full mile, not really seeing the whole thing through, I would be willing to bet money that you have a belief in there that it's just possible for you. If you find yourself constantly not doing the thing you plan to do, it's because you think it's not really possible for you. So I do like to make sure that I'm really clear here that I like to say to clients, what if you believe that success was inevitable? If you just do your part, what if you believe that success was inevitable? And the thing that I like to, and usually clients will be like, well, I would totally be all in. I would just be going for it. It's really important here that you define what success looks like for you, whether it's in business or whether it's with your body, right? Defining success. For me, success is living at my natural weight with minimal effort. The minimal effort thing has to be there. Why? Because I could be at my natural weight, and natural weight for me is the weight that you weigh when you are in zero mind chatter and you are not overeating, you are not over craving, you have a really pleasurable and peaceful relationship with food. That is whatever you weigh when you get there, getting there is 100% possible. That is your natural weight. The minimal effort part, that is so important to me because both of those two things now just ruled out any freaking counting of anything and any like crazy grueling workout. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I don't need to do that. But defining that success for yourself, again, whether it's in business or whether it's with your body, is important because if success to you, it's Cindy Crawford, which totally dates me. But I remember my sister and I, we would like tear pictures of supermodels out of magazines. How many of you guys did this? Tear pictures of supermodels out of magazines and cut them out, like make collages in our bedroom. And then eventually put them on the fridge to try to prevent us from eating, like Cindy Crawford and bathing suit thing. That's not success for me and my body. Not with my Sicilian jeans. If we're going to be that tall and that long and all the things. And so define success for yourself. Because when you have the definition of success that's actually possible and attainable for you, which most of it is, you 100% will be far more likely to get there because you will believe that it's possible. So getting back to this concept of believing, what does your future self believe? What does she know to be true? Not even what does she believe, but what does she now know to be true? And then what do you need to believe today to make it happen? So in business, for my baller business builders this week, I told them, ask yourself, do you believe this is really possible for you? I want you to journal on that. I want you to deeply think about that because if there is a part of you that thinks it's not possible, we have to address it. We have to coach on that. You have to surface. You have to let that rise up for release and repatterning. And the repatterning is really key here. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools here now that you can use to start to repattern. So let's say you are somebody who really has struggled with releasing unwanted weight all this time. And you don't really, part of you thinks it might be possible. And another part of you feels like it's not really ever possible. If it was possible, why hasn't it happened yet? So if that's you, if you're somebody who feels like it might not be possible for you, trying to go from that thought, that belief, which is your current belief, and then you recognize, oh, my future self knows that it's possible because she did it. So trying to go from this belief of, I don't really think it's possible, but I think it's totally possible, right? That might be too great of a leap, right? Because right now your brain's like, no, it's not possible. It's not happening. So instead of trying to make this big leap from one end of the spectrum to the other, one end of the pendulum to the other, of like, don't believe this at all, to I do totally believe this 100% without doubt, I encourage you to work through, it's like a bridging process or like a ladder, right? Where you you can say things to yourself like, oh, okay, I am noticing that my brain thinks this is impossible. But I also know there's a part of me that thinks it could be possible. It could be. I don't really know. I haven't tried everything. I would bet most of you listening, unless you're my client, you haven't really gone all in on your brain. But even if you think you did because you did Noom, that's not what I'm talking about. But the idea is that if there's even a sliver of this belief in your head that it could be possible, I just haven't figured it out yet. That is totally different than it's possible at all. But it's also not saying, oh, I 100% know that it's possible. Do you see the difference? So what I encourage you to do is I encourage you to play with I use these little sentence starters to help me start to adopt new ways of thinking that isn't some kind of shock to my sensible brain, which is the first sentence starter that I'll offer you is the sentence, noticing I'm having the thought that this isn't possible. I'm noticing I'm having the thought that this isn't possible. And the reason I like that is because what it's doing is it's creating some distance between you and the fact that it's just a thought. And all thoughts are optional. Now, it's not optional whether or not you have a thought. Thoughts just pop up into our brains all the time without our necessarily intentionally conjuring them. But it is totally up to you if you're going to believe it, right? You don't have to believe everything you think. I'm sure you've heard that before. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm noticing I'm having that, right? And then when you recognize, and that thought prevents me from even trying, even moving forward, and not trying a diet again. Please hear me when I say please don't try any more diet. But instead, try a different way. Try a way that's based in compassion and curiosity and love. There is, I promise you, another way to do this. But I'm noticing I'm having this. Another sentence starter you could use is, it is possible for some people. Because a lot of times what that does is it just starts to open up. If it's possible for some people, then it could potentially be possible for me. Another one that maybe is more of a leap, but it's definitely not all the way across the pendulum, is I'm learning to. I am learning how to live at my natural weight with minimal effort. I'm learning how to open my mind to the possibility that it could happen. I'm just learning. Then you're not trying to convince your brain that you're like doing it or not doing it. You're just learning it. And then the last one is I'm committed. I'm committed to believing that this is possible. Even though I'm not there yet, right? I'm learning to believe this is possible. I'm committed to believing this is possible. Those are 4 sentence starters for you that truly can change everything. But just like I did with my clients in the Fempire this week, I really want to invite you to really ask yourself this question. If I were to be successful in this endeavor, what would I need to believe? What would I need to believe is possible for me? With that. All right, everybody. If you're listening to this on the Life You Crave podcast, don't forget to come over to the Life You Crave Facebook group and join us there for a discussion. And you can ask me questions, and I'm in there to support you and coach you and love on you all the way. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And for those of you who haven't taken the What Type of Overeater quiz are you, can always get that at liapinelli.com. LIA Pinelli.com and find out exactly what kind of overeater you are so that you can actually start to solve that. See you all next week.
You've been listening to The Life You Crave. I lost 30 pounds years ago without dieting, willpower, or deprivation. I'm on a mission to help other women, including you, do the same. You can book a free weight loss strategy session with me over at liapinelli.com. That's liapinelli.com. See you on our next call or on the next episode. And remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on iTunes.